Welcome back. I normally do these on a Monday, but today's Wednesday. Halfway through the week, I can't even tell what day it is. And you'll also notice a different background because my children and my husband kept making like live appearances in my video and not in a good way. Grant would be running in the background throwing toys, or I was in a coaching call one time and Kendall threw up. She's sitting in my lap, threw up. We just kept going. She was fine. And then, my husband does the same thing. He'll just pop in the back of my video and say something completely embarrassing. So we had to switch locations, and the door's locked. We'll see how long that lasts. But today I am talking about something that you really don't hear a lot in education because it's not really a strategy, but it's something that I feel like as teachers we really have to be mindful of. And I have my notes to kind of keep me on track, so if you see me looking down, that's why. But today I want to talk about how to choose the right literacy resources on a budget. And so I don't know about you, but so I've taught for 8 years. Every year has been in first grade in the same district. And so every year I hustle so hard thinking like, if I just do it, if I do it right this year, next year I'm going to get to reuse it. And guess what? I never really get to reuse it. And I think one of the problems is that there's so many like choices. Your district buys you things, you buy your own things, and it gets very overwhelming, or maybe you're short on time. And these are all things that I've been super guilty of, is that I just choose whatever was in front of me. Maybe I chose like something that someone gave me, or maybe I chose like the first thing I found on Pinterest, or something that matched the theme, things that it seemed like a good idea at the time, but then I could never really reuse it. And so was that really the right, use of my money? And the end result is, yeah, it checked all the boxes, like this is great for next week, but then I have to redo it the next year because it didn't fit what I needed. So I think choosing the right literacy resources for your classroom is super overwhelming, but I think if you kind of like set some guidelines for yourself, you can really save some money and set yourself up for success for the next year. So I've been in both sides of it. Like my first year teaching, I didn't have a ton of resources. And then now I feel like I'm overwhelmed with resources, and I can't really say that one is easier than the other because you've got to find a balance between it. And then in addition, as teachers, our budgets are so limited, and our districts do the best they can to buy us stuff, but we spend a lot of our own money, and there's months when I'm pretending like workroom coffee is Starbucks lattes because I spend all my money on my classroom. I always say I'm not going to do it, but I do it, and I'm sure I spent like $30 at Dollar Tree the other day, but everything's $1. Like, how do you do that? I don't know. But yes, it is. It's true. So there's two things that I know. You're going to end up spending money on your classroom, even if you tell yourself you're not going to do it. And the reason we constantly want to be better. If we're teachers, we believe in education and the lifelong journey of education and making yourself better. And I don't think you're ever going to stop trying to make your classroom better. So you're going to end up spending your own money. And then the second thing, my husband keeps asking me when I'm going to stop spending money. Never. The answer is never. So if you're going to invest your hard-earned money, what I know is that it better be worth it, and it better be something that you can reuse in the future. And I think those things, it can be easily done, but you have to be intentional with what you buy. And so it's kind of what I want to walk through today. And like I said, no one ever really talks about this part of it, but I feel like it's very important, especially if you're a new teacher trying to navigate what kind of resources you really need for your classroom. So the first thing, whether you're watching this live or whether you play it back later, I want you to sit and think like, what could I do with my time that I'm spending right now on lesson plans? Like, because my lesson planning, now I've got it down to like a pretty manageable time, but there was years when I was spending like 5 or 6 hours a week on lesson planning and finding resources and printing and copying and laminating and like doing all these things. So I want you to like just sit and think for a minute and reply in the comments if you can. If you could save time lesson planning, what would you rather be doing with that time? So for me, number one would be spending time with my kids. Or if I'm being honest, like going and doing something like a pedicure, a massage, or something like just for me. Like, the only reason my hair looks so good right now is because I just got my hair cut and she fixed it for me. And like it was one of the best 2 hours of my week because I just got to sit by myself with no kids, no husband, no offense, babe. And it was just so nice. So I think if I wasn't lesson planning, I could be doing more things for myself or maybe pouring myself back into something different, like my classroom or my church or my kids. And so while we're going through these things and you're thinking, well, it kind of sounds like a little bit of work, it really will pay off for you in the end if you think, well, I could really be saving time and doing this instead. Like it's just such an uplifting feeling to have that weight lifted off of you. So today I have 3 tips for you on how to choose the best literacy resources for your classroom. Number 1, does the content of the resource fit the needs of your students? And so in order to figure out that piece of it, you really need to understand your standards. I teach in Texas, so we have TEKS. Whether you have TEKS or Common Core or NextGen or whatever it is that you are teaching with, you need to really understand that standard. Not just say, oh, this unit's on inferencing. I think I'm going to go to Teachers Pay Teachers and type in inferencing and see what I can find and what looks the cutest. Like, I'm guilty of it. I've definitely done it. But if it's not going to fit your standard, you're going to have to redo it again in the future. But your standards aren't going to change. So if it fits your standard, you can definitely use it in the future. So what does your standard say? What does mastery of that skill looks like? But then even more important, where are your students at? Because there might be foundational skills that feed into that standard that you're going to have to address first. Like that resource may not be right for your class if they need the foundational skills first. So that's the first thing that I do. And I opened my very first membership this week. I am so excited because I've never seen anything like it before in education. But in my membership, I have content training videos that teach you how to get really clear on your standard, understand what it is, and then how to tie in your standards into your balanced literacy. And so understanding your standard is an incredibly important part to choosing the right literacy standards, especially if you're on a budget, because you don't want to be buying things that you can't use. And too often people, including me, like so guilty of this. People buy things on Teachers Pay Teachers because they look cute or it matches the theme of the week. I do it all the time. Used to. I try not to anymore. I still do it a little bit. But if I'm trying to save money, anything I buy is going to be specifically tied to a standard. Hopefully it's cute. Maybe it matches a theme if I'm lucky. But if you really want to choose the right resources on a budget, you're going to have to be very intentional and only buy what directly aligns with your standards. So that's step 1. Number 2 is when you're buying something, you need to really think about how you're going to use it in your classroom. Well, duh, I'm going to print it out and give it to my kids. That's not what I mean. Like, are you buying this resource to use like in a whole group? Or are you buying it for small group or interventions? Or maybe you're buying it for a station. So those are all things that we typically think about anyways. So you're probably thinking I'm crazy at this point, but I'm not. Because another thing that I teach in my membership is that if you really want to save planning time, but then save time in your literacy block, which we all know we don't have enough of, and you also want to save money and resources, then whatever you're buying needs to fit more than one thing. Like, don't just buy it for whole group. When you're buying a resource, think, can I use this for whole group and small group and stations? That's how you're really going to get your biggest bang for your buck, is if you can take a resource and make it fit several different things, then like I said, again, being very intentional with what you're buying, but then I feel like that's a very good way to make sure you're getting the right literacy resources on a budget. So if you can make it work for all 4 and make it work for different levels of your students, like if you can make it work for maybe your higher group and your lower group doing it different ways, then you've really got to think about that. It's really the secret to like fitting it all in. People always say, how do you fit it all in? And I don't. But if you can repurpose one thing several different times, that's going to be the best way or the closest way you can get to fitting it all in. So that's my first 2 tips. The third tip is this resource going to be engaging for your students? it might look good and it might check all your boxes, like, yes, it aligns to the standard. Yes, I can use it more than once. But I mean, you guys know we're constantly battling for our students' attention. Constantly. So if you give a resource or an activity that is not engaging to them at all, no matter if it's your standards or not, it's not going to be effective. So if it's not engaging, it's not going to be successful, and you've really got to think outside of the box. So I have some examples. Number one is, can you give your students hands-on engaging activities during your literacy instructions? This is so easy for us to do in math, but I think we've got to find ways to do it in reading too. I mean, the research doesn't say students should have their hands-on materials in math only. The research says that students learn better when they have their hands-on materials. So can you find a way to do it in literacy stations? Could they take a photograph and then maybe make an inference? Could they take a bag of objects and then try to find the main idea? Could they take a set of words written on popsicle sticks and put them in ABC order? That's something my students are struggling with right now, is ABC order. And I've taught them strategies like you circle the letters on the alphabet. But one thing that's really helped is writing them out on popsicle sticks, and then they can physically move the words to put them in order. And then like, can you use a Pixar video? You can use a Pixar video to do just about any reading comprehension skill. Retell, predictions, connections, inferencing, text evidence, all of it can be done with a Pixar video, and the kids love them. Absolutely love them. So just to wrap all this up, if you're looking to buy literacy resources, I strongly, strongly encourage you to look for three things. Number one, does it fit your content? Like, does the content of the resource fit the needs of your students by looking at your standard? Through the filter of your standard, does it meet the needs of your students? Number two, how's it going to work in your classroom? You're really aiming to be able to use it more than once, hopefully in every facet of your classroom instruction. And then the last one, is it going to be engaging enough for my students to make it effective? So those are just my three little tips. So now we're going to get to the annoying part of the video, where I'm going to tell you about my membership, because I just believe in it so much, and my membership addresses so many of those concerns we have as a teacher. Like, I'm spending too much time lesson planning. How do I save time? Like, how do I cut that down so I can truly spend time on things that matter to me, like my family or my classroom or myself? And so, you know, I've sold products on Teachers by Teachers for 8 years now. And it wasn't until recently I joined a business membership, and it just changed my world, like rocked my world and opened it up to all these possibilities I didn't even know were there. And through this process, I've realized that memberships are really kind of like the future of the online community. And I haven't seen it offered in an educational setting, at least not specifically to teachers. And I just feel like this is such a great opportunity. And so I'm offering a beta membership. So this is like the first time I'm ever trying it. You're going to be my guinea pigs. It's the lowest price ever. And then you get to help me kind of design the membership. Like, this is working, this is not working. Maybe you can throw in more of this or less of this, or whatever it might be. So we've all been part of a membership. You've got gym memberships, Netflix memberships, but an online membership is really like a thing of its own. It's something that, you know, it has benefits I've never experienced before, and it's really unlocked a world of information I didn't know was out there. And it's not just information like you Google something. By having a membership, you get content that's specific to what you're needing. So in my membership, it is very specific to first grade literacy standards and skills, and how to do all of the things in the video that we talked about. And then it's also very personalized, because you have a coach. Like, your membership leader is your coach, and you just send them a message like, I'm trying to do this, but it's not working. Can you help me? And within like an hour, you've got it solved. Like, it's just been incredible to have that kind of advice and that kind of experience at your fingertips that you might not have access to. I know, you know, a lot of districts, they have instructional coaches, but a lot of districts don't. And I've been in it both ways. And so this is something where you might not have an instructional coach at your campus, but now you have a literacy coach at your fingertips, and it works the exact same way. So you've got the content, you've got the training videos that teach you how to get clear on your standards is step one. Step two, how to find or create an assessment. Step three, you're going to look at your whole group and plan your whole group activities. And then step four, you're going to take whatever you did whole group and you're going to repurpose it into every other component of balanced literacy in your classroom. And it makes it very intentional, and so it's easier for you as a teacher, but then it provides so much consistency and exposure to your students that they're going to master their skills so much faster. And then as a beta member, you also get input as to what content you're getting each month. So right now, every month, you're going to get detailed literacy lesson plans based on one core literacy standard. So the first month for February, like if you join today, you're going to go ahead and get February, is make an inference. So you're going to get, whole group ideas and questions to ask in whole group and small group and mentor text ideas. You're going to get a printable inferencing station, printable social studies, science, and word work that can all tie into your writing time. And so as a beta member, you get influence over that. Like, I like this, I'm not so fond of that. So really, as a beta member, you get to kind of like personalize it to your needs. Like, you get to influence what everyone else is going to end up getting. And so we talked about coaching. And then the last thing is community. When I started teaching, I had a team of 10 teachers. I was one of them, so there was 9 other teachers. And we did like the very best we could to support each other. But there was a lot of questions that we didn't know the answer to. And it was frustrating, to say the least, that you're just constantly trying to do your best and then constantly having to redo what you're working on because what you did wasn't right. And so it is so crazy to me that now we have all these Facebook groups. You've got Texas teachers, Texas first grade teachers, fabulous firsties. Like, there's all these different Facebook groups, and you can hop on with a question and have 30 responses in less than 5 minutes. Like, it is amazing how connected we are, and the advice and experience we're able to share with each other. But the thing I've experienced through this membership is that private Facebook groups are so different. Like, they are the key to really growing. I can go to any Facebook group and get advice, but when you're in a private Facebook group, it really becomes a community. You're all first grade teachers, you're all working on literacy, you're sharing your wins, you're sharing your struggles, you're getting advice. Like, it has just been a very amazing experience that I've had, and it's something I want to share. It's something I think that teachers need, because a lot of times we feel like we're doing it on our own, and it doesn't have to be that way. Maybe you are spending too much time on your lesson plans. Well, here's these people who are going to help you figure out a better way. Or, maybe your literacy stations aren't working. I had to stop and I halted small group this week, and all I did was walk around in stations and just redirect behavior, because my students are getting comfortable. And sometimes you have to do that. But I've been teaching 8 years, so I know you have to do that. If I was a first-year teacher, I would just keep on going with my small group and yelling at kids in stations. There are teachers out there who have been where you've been and know how to help you get through it. And I think a private Facebook community is something that allows you to be a close-knit group that you can trust each other, be honest with each other, and truly grow and learn from each other. So that's the last piece of it. Content, coaching, community, all the things you need to be a successful teacher. And because this is like a beta group, beta just means it's the first time I'm ever launching this group, so it's the lowest price ever. So right now it's $9.99 a month. You can cancel at any time. So you don't like it, just you cancel it, but you're gonna love it. So don't get that mindset just yet. But say like the next time I launch it, if the price goes up to $15 a month, well, guess what? You're locked in at $9.99. Like, your rate never changes. So that's another really great reason to be part of the beta group. It's because you get to help personalize the content that comes out by giving your advice and telling me what you need and you want. But then number 2, you're going to have the lowest price. No matter what this membership grows to, you're always going to get the lowest price. And $10 a month, that's a Starbucks drink, guys. Save your Starbucks drink just once. Just once. I promise you, you're going to thank yourself at the end of the week or the end of the month when you're not spending as much time and you're not spending as much money on resources either, because you're getting them sent to your inbox every month. So really the last thing I have for you is just if you want to know more, I'm going to send a link to the page with all the information, but just send me a message. Like, if you're thinking, I don't know, this sounds really cool, but I'm not really sure if that's for me, then send me a message and let's talk about it. because I wouldn't be offering this if I hadn't experienced for myself and seen the kind of growth opportunities that it has. I'm blown away by what I've been able to do since joining an online membership. And I think it offers something that teachers have never been offered before. We've never had someone say, hey, lesson plans in your inbox, coaching at your fingertips, community. Like, it's all of the things as a teacher that we need to be successful. And if you're lucky, like me, you have a great team of 10 people who support you, and you've got administrators who support you. Sometimes you don't have that, and so sometimes you have to go online to find it. So send me a message. Let me know, what are your thoughts? What are your fears? But I promise you, if you just, try this out for a month, you're gonna love it. Absolutely. So I hope y'all have a great night, and I will see you all soon. Bye, guys.